What you're seeing right now, it's not a scene from some post-apocalyptic movie. This is San Francisco in the year 2025. This is the place where glass towers worth billions of dollars, built by the titans of technology, cast long shadows over human beings, searching for their next meal in a garbage can, preparing to sleep on cold, dirty pavement. Just a few blocks from where multi-million-dollar deals are made, another reality exists. It's a world of makeshift tents, of desperate cries that pierce the night, and an atmosphere thick with a sense of utter hopelessness. This isn't just a story about poverty. This is a story about a failure of staggering proportions happening in the epicenter of American innovation and wealth. In this documentary, we won't just show you what is happening, we are going to peel back the layers to investigate why it's happening. We'll explore the real human cost of existence when you are left behind by society. Welcome to Bear City 24. The Great Divide. 2 cities in 1 square mile. To understand the crisis in San Francisco, you first have to understand the Tenderloin. This neighborhood isn't just a location on a map, it has become a living, breathing symbol of modern America's greatest contradiction. It is the undeniable proof that unimaginable wealth and profound human suffering can and do exist on the very same city block. According to the most recent point-in-time counts from the San Francisco Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing, the city is home to over 8,323 individuals experiencing homelessness. But here's the number that truly defines the crisis. More than half of them, over 52%, are completely unsheltered. That means they are surviving night after night on sidewalks and parks and under overpasses. And a staggering number of them are concentrated right here in a dense urban zone of about 50 square blocks. Here, the contrast is not just visible, it's visceral. You can stand on a corner and see the gleaming headquarters of a global tech company, a Michelin-starred restaurant with a month-long waiting list, and a luxury boutique selling handbags that cost more than a car. And then you can turn your head and see a sprawling cityscape of makeshift shelters crafted from cardboard and stolen tarps. It is in every sense 2 different Americas living a world apart, separated by nothing more than a few inches of sidewalk. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? For every person inside those offices dreaming up the next big app, how many people are just a few feet away, simply dreaming of a safe place to sleep? What were your dreams when you were a child? How many of those dreams involved just having a roof over your head? To walk through this area is to experience a complete sensory overload of survival. Let's start with what you see. These aren't just tents. They are vertical slums. Complex structures built from whatever the street provides: tarps, shopping carts, pieces of wood, and forgotten plastic. The ground itself is a mosaic of human waste, discarded food, and medical debris. Used syringes are a common sight, glinting in the daylight like shattered glass, a stark reminder of the public health crisis unfolding in plain view. Then there's what you hear. It's a chaotic symphony that never ends. There's the near-constant wail of sirens, a soundtrack of emergency that fades into the background. There's the sharp, angry burst of a distant argument over something small, something vital. There's the hacking cough that never seems to end, echoing from a nearby tent. And then, perhaps most hauntingly, there's the silence, the profound, hollow silence of individuals who have withdrawn so deep inside themselves that the world around them no longer seems to register. Before this, what did you imagine the sounds of a major American city to be at night? And finally, there's the smell. It's an invisible wall you hit the moment you enter the neighborhood. It's a thick, heavy blanket woven from the smells of decay, of unwashed bodies, of urine, and the sharp chemical bite of burning fentanyl. It's the smell of a humanitarian crisis that cannot be ignored, a scent that clings to your clothes and your memory long after you've left. This is the raw, unfiltered reality of the Great Divide. Anatomy of a system failure. So the question becomes, how did it get this bad? How did a city known for its progressive values and immense wealth become the poster child for a crisis of this magnitude? Let's start with a number that doesn't make any sense: $700 million. That's roughly how much San Francisco budgeted for homelessness services in fiscal year 2024 to 2025. It's an astronomical sum of money. So, with all that money, with all those resources, why does the crisis feel deeper and more desperate than ever? The truth is, this isn't a failure of funding. It's a failure of system design. The money is there, but it's fed into a machine that is broken, fragmented, and impossibly difficult to navigate for the very people it's meant to serve. Imagine dozens of different nonprofits and city agencies, often working in silos, rarely sharing data effectively, each with their own rules, their own intake forms, their own waiting lists. For someone on the street trying to get help is like trying to solve a labyrinth with no map. Have you ever been stuck in a bureaucratic loop trying to get something simple done? Now imagine doing that without a phone, an address, or even an ID. To truly understand the system's failure, we have to look at three distinct, simultaneous collapses that have created the perfect storm on the streets of San Francisco. First is the housing collapse. This is the original sin of the city's crisis. For decades, San Francisco has been one of the most expensive places to live on the planet. Today, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment hovers around $2,500 per month. To afford that without being severely burdened, a person needs to earn well over $100,000 a year. But the people who keep the city running, the janitors, the restaurant workers, the security guards, they don't make anywhere near that. The second and perhaps most visible is the healthcare collapse. What we are witnessing in the Tenderloin is not just a housing crisis, it's a twin public health crisis happening in real time. On one hand, you have an epidemic of untreated mental illness. It's estimated that nearly 1 in 3 individuals experiencing homelessness in the city is grappling with a severe mental health condition. On the other hand, you have the devastating impact of fentanyl. In 2025 alone, the city recorded more than 600 overdose deaths, with the Tenderloin as the undisputed epicenter. That's nearly 2 people a day dying preventable deaths on our streets. And finally, there is the trust collapse. This may be the most tragic failure of all. The system is so broken that many people have simply given up on it. We often hear the question, why don't they just go to a shelter? The answer is profoundly sad. For many, the shelters feel more dangerous than the streets. When people who desperately need help no longer trust the institutions designed to provide it, the system has failed in its most fundamental purpose. A day in the life, the cost of survival. To understand the reality on the ground, let's follow a man we'll call Michael. His story is a composite of the experiences we heard, a reflection of the daily battle waged by thousands. Michael's day begins before sunrise. Not with an alarm clock, but with the gnawing cold or the fear of what the morning light might bring. The first mission of the day is a hunt for dignity, finding a safe, clean place to use the restroom. With public facilities being scarce and often unusable, this simple human need becomes a source of daily shame and a public health hazard. Then comes the ever-present threat of the sweeps. These are city-led cleanups where anything left unattended can be seized and thrown away. For Michael, this means his entire world, his tent, his sleeping bag. A few worn photographs is in constant peril. As the city wakes up, the midday hustle begins. This is the economy of the street. It's the slow, back-breaking work of collecting cans and bottles, hoping to make enough for a hot drink. It's waiting in long lines at soup kitchens where a single meal is the only guarantee of the day. When was the last time you truly worried about where your next meal would come from? For many here, that question is a constant gnawing presence. This is where the title of our documentary becomes a literal painful reality. We witnessed people carefully sorting through restaurant dumpsters looking for untouched food that had been thrown away, a practice born not of choice, but of absolute necessity. As night falls, a different kind of war begins, the war against the dark. The dropping temperatures are a physical threat, but the greater danger comes from the shadows. Sleep is not a rest, but a state of high alert. This is when the temptation of a drug like fentanyl becomes more than just a desire for a high. It's a form of self-medication to numb the pain, to silence the trauma, to force the body into a few hours of oblivion. As one person told us, their words echoing the grim reality for so many, "You're not really living out here, you're just trying not to die until the sun comes up." The seeds of hope. After seeing such a bleak picture, it's easy to feel that the situation is hopeless, but it's not. Despite the systemic failures, there are people and organizations on the ground every single day fighting back against the tide of despair. The city itself has made attempts. Initiatives like the Tenderloin Linkage Center were designed to be low-barrier entry points where people could access services without judgment. In 2025, the center reported over 25,000 individual visits. These efforts show that coordinated action is possible, but critics argue they often treat the symptoms without curing the disease. The real heart of the fight often comes from nonprofit organizations that have been on these streets for decades. Groups like Compass Family Services have worked for over a century to keep families off the streets, providing housing, counseling, and childcare. In a city where 1 in 30 public school students is considered homeless, their work has never been more vital. But perhaps the most powerful change is coming from the community itself. Look at Urban Alchemy. This organization was founded by people with lived experience, those who were once homeless or incarcerated themselves. They hire street ambassadors who don't just patrol the sidewalks. They de-escalate conflicts, connect people with services, and most importantly, they build trust. They see the humanity that the system often overlooks. They prove that those closest to the problem are often closest to the solution. These efforts are not a complete fix, but they are seeds of hope. They are proof that compassion and dignity can still be found in the darkest of places. The unanswered question. What is the soul of a city worth? So we are left with this landscape of systemic failure and human suffering existing in the shadow of unimaginable wealth. And this brings us to the final unavoidable question. We know what works. Models like Housing First, which prioritize getting people into permanent housing without preconditions, have been proven successful and cost-effective in places from Houston, Texas to Helsinki, Finland. They operate on a simple, radical idea. It's easier for a person to overcome their challenges when they have a safe, stable place to sleep at night. The problem then is not a lack of solutions. This is not a crisis of resources. It is a crisis of political will and perhaps of moral clarity. When a city that considers itself the pinnacle of innovation and progress allows thousands of its own citizens to live and die in these conditions, what does that say about our true values? What is the soul of a city worth? Do we accept this reality as the unfortunate but necessary cost of doing business in a prosperous society? Or do we demand a fundamental shift in our priorities? A shift from managing poverty to ending it? A shift from containing people to investing in them? The future of San Francisco, and perhaps the future of America's great cities, will be defined by how we answer that question. This crisis is complex and there are no simple answers. We want to know what you think. Please share your thoughts respectfully in the comment section below. What did you see here that surprised you or challenged your perspective? If this story has impacted you, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to Bear City 24. We are committed to bringing you more in-depth documentaries on the most important issues facing America today. And if you feel moved to help, consider researching and supporting the local organizations in San Francisco who are on the front lines doing the difficult work of helping people in need every single day. Thank you for watching.